Hey everyone, it's Paul with the Bold Profits video for this Tuesday, which is the day after Memorial Day. I hope all of you had a great weekend and you're back to investing, being interested in investing. And I always start with these three disclosures, warnings, which is that number one, this channel, we are not financial advice. We're not licensed financial advisors. Any ideas, any topics we cover are for informational, engagement, entertainment purposes, not financial advice. The second thing is that we actually have this channel to promote our investment newsletters for our publisher, which is called Bold Profits. We currently have 8 investment newsletters, stock and option newsletters. We have a crypto one that's coming out. So that's its express purpose. We come on here and we talk about ideas. And generally speaking, Bold Profits, this publisher, we're focused on future-oriented ideas, growth-oriented ideas, which leads me to my second point, which is that any ideas you hear about on this channel, they're long-term in nature, a minimum 1 to 3 years. And I really stress the minimum. The other thing is that they are guaranteed to provide a rough ride. They are not going to be smooth. So if you're looking for dividends, you're looking for safety, you're looking for a nice, smooth ride, this is the wrong place. Our ideas are going to be choppy, they're going to be crazy volatile, and that's guaranteed. Nonetheless, the upside we believe is huge, which is why we like them, which is why we focus on them. We can see and we have experienced in our investment newsletter returns of 1,000% and even more than once. So our focus is on the long term, on the future, and these are ideas, we call them Fourth Industrial Revolution ideas, America 2.0 ideas. They're for the rest of the world, they call them growth stocks. The third thing is that you'll often see in the comments, actually in YouTube, and sometimes you can also see on Twitter, Facebook, lots of social media, generally on the internet, people claiming to be me, people claiming to be my incredible colleague Ian Dyer or Amber Lancaster, asking you for money, asking you to send money, asking you to send Bitcoin. This is a fraud. Anybody saying that they had amazing results and you should join them, that's also a fraud. So this is all some kind of like robotic sort of a text-generated stuff that is designed to scam you and as a fraud. So please never engage with any of this because you're going to lose your money and you'll never see it again. All right, which finally gets me to this week's video, which is on what I believe is going to be the investing opportunity of the next decade. Many times people will ask me, hey, Paul, I wish that somebody had told me to buy Bitcoin in 2011 or buy Amazon, let's say in 2005. You know the routine. People will look backwards at the biggest opportunity and say, I wish I had done that. And the truth is that oftentimes when that opportunity is actually in front of you, people have objections to it. They'll say, oh, well, it's too early. No one's ever going to do that. That's never going to happen. The Wall Street Journal says it's never going to happen. My brother, who's a broker, he knows, and he says it's never going to happen. I know someone in the business that says it's never going to happen. And then you end up missing out. So for this week's video, I'm going to put myself out on the line, put myself out there on a limb and say that in my opinion, in my judgment, the place that people are going to look back 3, 5, 7, 10 years from now and say, I shoulda, I woulda, I coulda, is the new era and new industry of space. That's right, space. Those of you who are super space fans, fanatics even, you're probably like me. I watch all of the SpaceX launches. Pretty much anytime SpaceX is launching a rocket, I've got the SpaceX channel on YouTube on my computer and I watch it because it's like science fiction today. I mean, it's crazy what SpaceX and Elon Musk and the crew at SpaceX that they're able to do. We today as a species, as a society, are able to actually send rockets to space and bring them back. I mean, that's just astonishing. It's just absolutely incredible. And the truth is the vast majority of people have no idea that we have this capability today. And this has been in the works, truthfully, for several years now. SpaceX actually started to do this several years ago. And that has really launched the beginning of what is a real investment thesis for space. And I'm going to focus on the investment thesis today rather than talking about the technological developments. And so if you go and look, we're just going to put up some pictures as I talk. This is from our Morgan Stanley report that actually came out in 2020, last year. And the report was Space Investing, the Final Frontier. And they predict that the revenue generated by the global space industry may increase to more than $1 trillion by 2040. So we're already in 2021 and $1 trillion. So, I mean, $1 trillion, people may say, well, Paul, by 2040, that's really long. However, $1 trillion is a very large number. And when big investors, big money investors see such a big number, and where they can start to assign a very high likelihood of it happening, they start putting money into it because they know that other people are going to come along and want a piece of this opportunity, and they want to get in early because they know getting in early is key to making those multi-thousand, even 10,000% style returns. And $1 trillion in 2040, to many people, they're like, Paul, that's just too far away. I can't think about it. It's something that somebody else. However, the nature of markets is that they always look forward. Just remember that Tesla achieved a $100 billion, $200 billion market capitalization, stock market value, well before they actually even had produced 300,000 cars. And why is that? It's because the markets look forward. They start to anticipate where the world is going, and people start to take bets on it by buying into the investment, the speculation that gives them the highest probability, the highest chance of actually capturing that opportunity. And I believe space is at that point where a lot of people will dismiss it and say, oh, it's too early, I can't be bothered. And then much later on, they will say, well, you know what? You were right. I wish I'd listened to you in 2021 when you made that YouTube video telling me about space. And the other thing that's critical about this prediction of $1 trillion, just remember that in the stock market, we capitalize sales. We also capitalize earnings and profits. However, the first thing that any company is going to have before they have profits is they're going to have sales. And we capitalize that using something called the price to sales ratio. So if we're going to get to $1 trillion in 2040, you can reasonably assume that we're going to get to billions of dollars by 2025. We will have perhaps 100 billion, several $100 billion by 2030. And stock market investors are going to look forward, and they're going to capitalize that by paying more than just what the value of those sales are. They will pay 5 times sales, 10 times sales. The faster the growth, the higher the multiple. So you can see this $1 trillion is going to generate eventually an industry that is going to be worth 15, 20, 25 trillion dollars. And a lot of that growth will come pretty fast and come pretty early. That first growth from 0 to $1 trillion will be where the biggest gains are made. So that's point number one, which is that there is big money that is really starting to push very hard into the space industry, starting to bet billions of dollars on this area. And what is driving this confidence? What's driving this confidence? And what's driving this confidence is really that the rockets are getting bigger. And as a result of them getting bigger, their payloads are increasing in size. In other words, you can put more stuff on. And that means that the cost of going into space is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And you'll see that chart of the size of the rockets, and then you'll see the cost of actually transporting something into space to low Earth orbit. LEO is low Earth orbit per kilogram. It's absolutely in collapse. And that is the same kind of price chart that also revolutionized the world through the computer industry. When the price of chips started to plummet, That's when more people could afford to put chips into, whether it be computers or anything else. And now the adoption increased, and now also the value of those industries skyrocketed up. And we already have a leader in space that really is the one that is pushing this forward and is generally responsible for really everyone seeing the size of the opportunity and how quickly it's unfolding. And that's SpaceX, which is Elon Musk's space company. And SpaceX, in its last funding round, as you can see, which was in February of this year, actually received a valuation of $74 billion. $74 billion. Still a private company. No one can invest in it, yet it's already worth $74 billion. So, of course, big investors everywhere are taking interest in this. They want to be a part of it. Many people may know that Jeff Bezos, multi-billionaire, of course, has his own space company, and he and Elon Musk are sort of competing together. Jeff Bezos' company is called Blue Origin, and for now they're behind. Or I imagine that over time they're going to catch up and have their own rockets that are going to push SpaceX to actually make their rockets even bigger and then make it even cheaper and then make the opportunity come even faster and become even bigger. And one person that's definitely noticed is someone that I'm a huge fan of, and that is Cathie Wood of ARK Invest. I generally track a lot of what Cathie Wood says, and oftentimes my opinion and hers sort of intersect, sometimes are parallel. And about the same time I got very interested in space is about the time she also decided that she is actually going to start a space-based ETF, in addition to the ones that she has for financial technology, 3D printing, and many other innovations and disruptive technologies. So this is confirmation from, again, one more source that this opportunity is huge, it's real, and it's here. And the idea that it's far away, that it's science fiction, is wrong. In other words, now is the moment to really start getting going on this. And in Profits Unlimited, which is our flagship newsletter, and if you click on the strong hands icon below, it will send you to a page that will give you an offer to subscribe to it. We've actually put in 3 companies that can benefit from space. One is the leading chip company that makes space-based chips. Because if you're going to take chips into space, they have to be radiation hardened. They have all sorts of special requirements. And we have truthfully not been putting enough money and research into it. And we're going to need better chips, more hardy chips, faster chips, all kinds of things. And so there is going to be also a huge revolution that happens in the making of chips for space. And there is one company right now that has huge market share of chips that go into space. And we believe that they are going to be the first ones to benefit, because of course, into every satellite, into every rocket ship, every rocket, there are so many sensors, so many chips that are measuring everything, that are tracking everything, and then transmitting all that data and information back so as to be able to make better decisions, and then also craft better rockets, bigger rockets, cheaper rockets. So chips are sort of like the base layer of the opportunity in space. The second company that we have at Profits Unlimited is actually a company that is a 3D printing company, because 3D printing is going to be at the heart of space. We're going to print rockets to it, and when we get to whether it be a lunar colony or whether we have space hotels, we're going to use 3D printing because it's a very efficient way to make things. And you can also reduce the materials down to something that is quite compact and take it up and then just create the structure in space. That way you don't need to actually have a lot of volume when you're going up. In other words, to take a building into space would be impractical. However, you could take a 3D printer and take it into space and then have it 3D print things. So a 3D printing company is our second opportunity. And the third one is an actual space company that's pretty amazing to me. They actually have a services business in space. Just think about that. There's already a company, this is how far along the opportunity is, that already can actually service, for example, satellites by moving them from one orbit to another. Or potentially over time to refuel a satellite, or potentially to repair it. And over time create new services, perhaps over time to refuel spaceships and any number of additional services that are coming. And in fact, you can see here, there's actually a company that plans to start building a private space station with artificial gravity and starting that in 2025. So the reason I'm making this video is that I don't want you to miss out. There are many people who will look back at Bitcoin and say, oh, I missed out. Or even more obvious ones like Amazon or Google or Netflix or Apple or any of these others and say, I missed out. I could have had gains of tens of thousands of percent. However, there is an opportunity in that space where it's at the ground level. This is not even the first inning. This is the warm up, really the pre-innings, where you can still get in at the ground floor. And as long as you have a long term and you're willing to deal with the fact that there is going to be volatility on the way to these big gains, this, I believe, is one of the biggest opportunities that's really sitting out there that people look back and say, that was obvious. I should have gotten in. Now, obviously, I'm not going to give the 3 stocks away because that's our business. We sell investment newsletters. If you're interested in it, like I said, click on the strong hands above. We'll take you to a page that will show you how to subscribe to Profits Unlimited, which is our flagship newsletter. We'll be tracking space. We'll be tracking these 3 companies very, very closely and looking to put more companies in because we want growth. We want the big money. We want to make the big money. And we believe space is going to be one of the critical ways by which you can actually get that. So the other thing you can also do is obviously you can track when Cathie Wood's space ETF starts trading and you can buy into that. And that will give you a nice general exposure to a lot of the space companies that are out there and that are coming public today. So that's a second way by which you can go about and invest in it. I will say generally though, that when an ETF is in its young days, it can be pretty volatile because of the fact that there's not a lot of money in it. So definitely just watch out for that. But it's definitely a viable way to invest in this opportunity. All right, so that's my video for today. If you like the content on the channel, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and tell me below. I'm sure there is a lot of different opinions about space. Many people still think it's too far into the future. Other people may think, well, they should just wait for the right time. Or are you a space believer? Is space for you? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll have another video for you next week. Until then, this is Paul saying bye.